Honorable Sosion and Senator Tabitha Mutinda and David Alulu, who is a political analyst. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning to you, Vivian and Mike. I'll start by saying Mambo ni Matatu. It is the 1st of November. Indeed, we are edging closer to wind up 2023. I like the question that Vivian has posed to you. Have you met your year's resolutions? If you're not, well, you have under 60 days to actually do so. So from me to you is that I wish you peace, more wins, laughs, yes. And love if you can find it. And if you do find it, let it be true, yes, and lasting. That is one. Second, the royal visit. I also got to spend time with King Charles on day one of his 4-day visit. So we're going to be bringing you up to speed in how his diary actually looked on day one. And we even had a banquet, and I'm sure politically, well, it was the first time that opposition leader Raila Odinga actually was in State House for that King's banquet. Yes. Mike is definitely going to be sampling that as he talks about, views in regard to what the impact of the Majesties being here in the country, being this is a Commonwealth country, the fact that they have visited in their official capacity. And, we've had also political pundits, international so, say that this particular visit by the King is a way, it's actually Britain's soft diplomacy. At a time when you're seeing China coming up, making its way into the world and its stand. We also have Russia here that is also dealing with Ukraine. There's so much happening in as far as matters of diplomacy is concerned. Even looking at France, what it's trying to do with its former colonies, so to speak. So what overall impact will this have? That is going to be put into perspective. Third but not least is that today is the last day that KCPE students are going to be sitting for the last ever KCPE student, national exams under the 844 system. We continue wishing them the best of luck. As we said, Mambo ni Matatu. But now let's get this show on the road, and we start off with just some views, or rather some pictures of what was happening yesterday night at State House, where we had the King's banquet. And if you're a hopeless romantic and you've been reading, fairy tales and such, you know what it means if you're invited to the King's banquet. Let's just have a sneak peek before we take you to the steps that the King and Queen made on day one of the visit.
Your Majesty, King Charles III, Your Majesty Queen Camilla, distinguished guests.
Well, that's just but a sneak peek, and remember our website is readily available for you to actually catch up with what the President said during that particular speech. And also the King made some time to learn a few words in Swahili. So it is available on our YouTube channel there. You can have a recap. Now, British King Charles III started his 4-day trip in Kenya with a symbolic visit, which is expected to cement relations between Nairobi and its colonial masters. The trip, which is the first outside Europe, comes at a time when the United Kingdom is seeking to stamp its influence on the global stage. President William Ruto welcomed the King and his entourage to State House yesterday. O'Brien Kimani has the details.
At exactly 10:38 in the a.m., King Charles III and Queen Camilla made their way to State House, where their host, President William Ruto, was at hand to receive them. After the Kenyan and the British national anthems, the King was accorded the ceremonial 21-gun salute by members of the Kenya Defence Forces before he proceeded to inspect the Guard of Honour mounted by Kenya Army. This was followed by a tree planting ceremony by the Majesties. Both King Charles and Queen Camilla planted the African fern tree. The tree is a conifer with long narrow leaves, and it's a native of East Africa. The evergreen leaves grow up to 4 inches in length at maturity, making it a favorite in the region. After the tree planting ceremony, the Majesties retreated for a closed-door meeting with President Ruto and selected members of his cabinet. After about 20 minutes of private engagement, The two leaders emerged from the closed-door meeting but never addressed the waiting local and international journalists. President Ruto is expected to host the visiting monarch for a state banquet later this evening.
The next 4 days are going to be very intense for King Charles III and his wife, Queen Camilla. All the eyes of the world will be on the Majesties. Their words are going to be measured and analyzed highly, and their actions will be judged and watched keenly. From State House, I'm O'Brien Kimani.
Well, that is my colleague O'Brien Kimani there, being his usual self. Yes, as he mentioned, it was quite action-packed day one for the Majesties, and I was one of those who was tracking his activities, and where King Charles III laid a wreath to the tomb of the unknown warriors at the Uhuru Memorial Garden in honor of Kenya's fallen independence heroes on the first day of his 4-day official visit. Here is what I found.
Despite Buckingham Palace declining to say whether King Charles III will apologize for Britain's crackdown on the Mau Mau rebellion, a gesture considered dicey for it would open the British government to calls for compensation, King Charles opted to honor Kenya's fallen heroes. In a solemn wreath-laying ceremony at the Uhuru Garden Memorial Park, where he was accompanied by President William Ruto.
This is one of the happiest days of my life.
The park is hallowed ground where the Union Jack, that's the British flag, was first lowered and the Kenyan flag hoisted, with the national anthem being sung for the first time on December 12th of 1963. The king and his entourage was taken through the Tunnel of Martyrs that honors heroes of Kenya's fight for independence, the Hall of Legends that showcases the lives of, among others, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Mekati Lili Wamenza, Koitalel Arap Samoei, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and Nabongo Mumia, among others. After the tour, an advocate of organic farming, King Charles drove through the city to City Shamba in Kayole.
This is City Shamba. This particular project not only focuses on matters of smart agriculture, but also embodies what King Charles holds close to his heart, and this is organic farming. This particular project also focuses on vertical agriculture, and it seeks to educate and empower especially smallholder farmers and also in those who want to practice farming in the peri-urban areas.
City Shamba is an urban agricultural business at Mama Lucy Hospital that builds city gardens appropriate for small spaces, employing smart agri-techniques such as vertical agriculture. The king interacted with officials as they explained to him about farming and even harvested some of the produce. Winding up the first day of his visit, it is clear Britain is keen on actualizing its soft diplomacy model.
And I'm so honored to present the vegetables to the king, and it's such a pleasure.
His particular visit is also going to draw a lot of scrutiny, especially in regard to where Britain stands when it comes to the repatriation process. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for KBC from Uhuru Gardens Memorial Park.
As I said, I was there for it. So if you've asked me if I saw the king and queen, yes, I did. So that was day one, and that is what happened on day one. And we expect the king and queen's diary to be equally packed today. So we're going to have the king, or rather the majesties, visit the war cemetery at Kericho, then also head on to Karura Forest, and then later go to the Daphne Sheldrick. This is where we have, the ivory burning site. And just to just mention but a few, this is where you're likely to find the king and queen who are in the country for a 4-day official visit. Our reporters, Yusuf Farah, is going to be tracking today's activities by the majesties. Now back to our local scene, where senators have voted to hear the impeachment of Meru County Governor Kericho County in plenary. The decision was reached amid sharp divisions between the two political factions, as senators allied to the ruling party objected to the establishment of a committee to investigate the accusations. Governor Kericho is facing 3 charges, including misappropriation of county resources and nepotism, among others. Kamchemeza with the details.
All senators will be given the opportunity to scrutinize the impeachment of Meru Governor Kericho County after the Senate shot down a motion seeking to establish a committee to hear the matter.
I don't really care how anyone votes. I think all of us will vote based on their own conscience. What I care is on the process of coming up to that vote. And this is why I want to persuade you that a committee will be able to give you and yourself and myself an opportunity to read a report that 11 distinguished members of this House would have already carried out an investigation on.
It is the responsibility of this House, Mr. Speaker, to find out whether on the facts and the evidence that threshold has been made. And in my submission, Mr. Speaker, it is close to impossible in an interrogation such as the one that happens in plenary to establish the facts and the law of the allegations and whether that threshold has been met.
I want to plead with our colleagues, even if you're pursuing a particular interest, don't be unfair on the House. Don't cast aspersions to the House and believe that for whatever reason, members will suddenly not reason. That the only way you can concentrate is if you're reduced from being 67 to only 11 of you. I don't think that is fair to the House.
A section of senators argued that subjecting the matter to a committee will deny the House the opportunity to holistically interrogate the issues raised by the Meru County Assembly and the response of the embattled county boss.
For the purpose of transparency, in the public glaring, that plenary is the best way to go so that members of public can follow.
When I hear the names of the 11 members, I must admit that we do not have 2 sets of brains. That one you leave when you're going to the committee and the other one that you take when you're going to the plenary. Mr. Speaker, we use the same brains. Whether we are 11 here in the House or we are the whole House.
Mr. Speaker, the move and the second of this motion has severally mentioned Meru County. That they know what is best for Meru County. If there is anyone who knows what is best for Meru County, is none other than Kaduri Morongi.
Na Bwana Spika, nimesikia wengi wakisema ya kwamba hii impeachment motion ikipelekwa kwa committee haitapata haki. Hii inamaanisha kwamba zile petitions zote na statements na motions zinaletwa hapa na zinapelekwa kwa committee hazipati haki.
Governor Kericho is accused of misappropriation and misuse of county resources, nepotism, and related unethical practices, and bullying, vilification, and demeaning other leaders.
Paid full salaries and benefits for over a year to 4 high-ranking county officials, despite them not rendering any services to the county.
This is the second time in just a year that the Meru County Assembly has voted to impeach the governor.
As many as of that opinion say aye. Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? The nays have it.
The Senate will convene on Tuesday and Wednesday next week to hear the impeachment. The parties will be given an opportunity to present their cases, after which the Senate will vote on each charge.
That quite was a spirited debate yesterday on the floor of the House, and now we are going to be having the opportunity, to have debate on plenary on whether Kericho County, the first ever female governor of Meru County, is going to survive another attempt to impeach her, or she's actually going to be axed. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, Embakasi Eastern Member of National Assembly, Babu Owino, and his Kasarani counterpart, Ronald Karuri, have gone to court to contest the late politician's Gershon Kirima's ownership of 1,000 acres parcel of land in Jiro. They claim the land belongs to an Italian national, Domenico Di Masi, and challenged the Kirima family to produce original documents to prove the ownership of the land. Elsewhere, televangelist Ezekiel Odero is now a free man. Details of this from the Scales of Justice.
Embakasi East member of National Assembly Babu Owino and his Kasarani counterpart Ronald Karauri claimed that the said parcel of land in Jiru had been acquired by deceased Italian national Domenico Di Masi in 1966. Accompanied by their lawyers, the legislators presented documents of the Milimani Law Courts of what they claim is an original copy issued by the government in 1966 for sale of the land was sold to one Italian national Domenico Di Masi and whose heir is currently in Nairobi.
I just want to give an assurance to the great people of Embakasi East and the great people of Kasarani constituency that we, as your members of parliament, we will protect your interest, we will fight for you. This war is far from over.
It is very important, especially in a case where people are going to lose their homes and their properties. We establish, first of all, who the rightful owner of that land is. Because if you look at the history, because the evidence that we'll present, we have an old title coming from 1904, I believe. 1904. There is no evidence of that land being transferred to the Kirimas.
Elsewhere, renowned televangelist Ezekiel Odero of New Life Prayer Center and Church has been acquitted of all the alleged crimes against him. Pastor Ezekiel had been under investigation since May this year when he was arrested and detained in connection to the Shakahola massacre and accused of murder, genocide, indoctrination, cruelty against children, among other crimes. He was cleared for lack of enough evidence against him.
I'm not angry with anybody. Hakuna mtu amenikosea. Hii ilikuwa ni test yangu, Mungu kuangalia kama mimi naweza nikasimamia ukweli na sitamuacha baada ya yote.
And I'm appealing to the Attorney General, the Registrar of Societies, that you have now seen where you are putting your strength, that the criminal arm is investigating Pastor. There is no criminal investigations on Pastor Ezekiel Odero.
So what happens to Mackenzie? We'll be keeping tabs on that. Now, before we delve into the local business scene, is just to remind you that our reporter Kaschana Marsha is at Westlands there, where she is overseeing, the disbursement of the KCP papers. Remember, today is the last day for KCP, the first ever under the 844 system, like the last actually under 844, as well as CAPSER, that is grade 6 and grade 8. We'll be keeping tabs on that, and once they're ready, the officials are ready there, we'll have a listen in. Now to business, plans are underway to train local manufacturers on the different standards for products in key markets in efforts to boost exports. The training will aim at ensuring that local products meet international standards to enhance Kenya's competitiveness. This was the key message at the launch of the 6th edition of the Changamka Shopping Festival 2023 in Nairobi.
Overall, Kenya is a net importer, with exports mainly being agricultural products either in their raw or semi-raw form. To correct this, the government, in partnership with the Kenya Association of Manufacturers and Partners, are rolling out an initiative to train local manufacturers on standards required for their products in the different export markets.
Kenya must commit to building, creating, adding value, and taking pride in locally produced goods.
Through this, we have begun the conversation, the design and planning for common user facilities, which are going to be located here in Nairobi.
Local manufacturers, with the support of the government, have rolled out the 6th edition of the Changamka Shopping Festival, offering Kenyans a chance to sample export quality locally made goods. This is aimed at dispelling the wrong assumption that locally made goods are not quality in efforts to reduce reliance on imports.
Under our policy and advocacy, we have a very specific committee and also a team which deals with anti-counterfeit as a menace. And of course, as we get more complaints from our members, we engage with the ACA, but also we drive around policy. We work with government to see how we can reduce this menace.
The Principal Secretary says the county aggregation and industrial parks being set up in counties are aimed at promoting consumption of local products, as well as securing more export markets.
What we want is to bring the discussion about manufacturing to a national conversation. The idea is that each county will set up an industrial park. We will start little aggregation and manufacturing, but that area belongs to all the manufacturers.
Now, there's need for farmers to integrate new technologies and innovation to transform the agriculture sector and increase food production. This emerged during the inaugural Africa Conference on Agricultural Technologies that kicked off yesterday in Nairobi, as Trevor Ngando narrates.
Even though Africa is home to over 60% of the world's arable land, the continent still grapples with food insecurity. In a bid to address this, Kenya is hosting the inaugural Africa Conference on Agriculture Technologies, bringing together government representatives, technical experts and farmers to discuss how Africa can leverage technology to accelerate production.
The government of Kenya recognizes agriculture as a key pillar in the country's economic transformation and is committed to increasing investments in the sector. Our ambition under the bottom economic transformation agenda better is to transform key agricultural value chains that we believe will contribute significantly to realizing food security.
Linturi says uptake of modern agriculture technologies would help Kenya unlock the huge potential that agriculture has.
The government recognizes that agriculture offers one of the quickest payback periods for investments, as it has great potential to generate higher incomes for our people and create employment opportunities. But to unlock this potential, we must embrace new technology and innovation.
Delegates noted that the growing population in Africa has seen a surge in demand for food, hence the need for the continent to embrace innovation to produce more food.
Africa must adopt technology to improve our food supply. Also produce raw materials, process it and export to end foreign exchange.
We are also working on genome editing, where we can work with a gene pool within one individual and edit.
The 4-day conference has brought together over 500 delegates seeking to offer recommendations on the importance of utilization of innovative agricultural technologies.
To sports, Kenya men's hockey team must bag maximum points in order to keep the 2024 Paris Olympic hopes alive when they take on arch rivals Ghana today in the ongoing Olympic qualifiers in Pretoria, South Africa. The Fidelis Kimanzi side saw of Zambia 1-0 their second match on Monday, just a day after suffering a 2-loss win to powerhouse Egypt in their opening game, and must win against Ghana to enhance their chances of taking part in the Paris Olympic Games next year. Currently, Egypt top Group B on 6 points, with Kenya and Ghana tied on second place on 3 points. Although Kenya have a goal difference advantage, the winners will be joining France, Australia, Netherlands, India and China, who already have sealed their berths in the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. All the best to the hockey team. Now let's look at what is happening in the Carabao matches tonight. We have West Ham, who are going to be squaring it out with Arsenal at 10:30 p.m. tonight. Then also we have Bournemouth squaring it out with Liverpool at 10:45 p.m. Chelsea at 10:45 p.m. are going to be taking on Blackburn. Everton at 10:45 squaring it out with Burnley. Ipswich with Fulham there at 10:45, and the team, I'm talking about Manchester United, are going to be squaring it out at 11:15 against Newcastle. Glory Manchester United. Let's see. Let's go. Let's do well. Well, this is where we put a cap on matters news this morning. Be sure to keep tabs on what has been happening, especially with the King and Queen in the country here. We're talking about King Charles III and his Queen Camilla, who are going to be having quite an action-filled day today, with 2 site visits, including Daphne Shadrick for the ivory burning site, as well as the Kericho Cemetery. And we have our various reporters who are going to be tracking the activities. And also, it is the last day of a KCP Class 8 that is, and as well as CAPSEA there. So we wish all the students all the best of luck. We'll be keeping tabs on that, including now the decision that has been taken by Senate that the impeachment motion of Kawira Mwangaza, Governor Meru County, is going to be heard in plenary. Have a great day ahead and a good start to a new month. I'm Regina Manyara.
This is the first time it's happening in Africa. That's where we can measure up where we really are.
أكبر فريق في الكرة التونسية.
Enyimba is Nigeria.
I want Mamelodi Sundowns to conquer Africa.
Angola style is fighting and very fast players.
Pepe Mazembe ni ekipi isha kufanya histoire monde mzima.
عندنا طاقات كبيرة، عندنا طاقات لعابة كبار.
سيمباز تنزانيا.
أي بطولة هي بالنسبة لنا بتبقى أهم بطولة.
Danielle got Carolina pregnant.
Is that right? It's really unfair because this is happening right now. Just when we're finally free and the two of us can be together. It's as if life has some kind of grudge against us, as though we're... So what do you think? Do you think he took the bait?
He didn't bite. He swallowed the whole thing.
I praise Allah for sending me you, my love. You found your home, it's here with me, and I'm here with you.
Kile ambacho Dhulkarnain aliweza kukifanya ama kukisema baada ya muujiza ambao Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alitekeleza na kumwezesha kuwasaidia waja wake kutokana na dhulma za Ya'juj wal Ma'juj, aliweza kusema kuwa si yeye ambaye alikitekeleza kile ambacho alikifanya, alisema ni kutokana na busara aliyopewa na kujaliwa na Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Kwa na wewe ndugu yangu, chochote alichokupatia Allah, kazi unaoifanya, ukisucceed, ukifaulu, sema maneno kama haya, qala hadha rahmatu min rabbi.
Four minutes past 7. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe and welcome back to The Viewpoint. And we look at what is happening or what the papers, what is making headline on these dailies. In studio, I'm joined by Honorable Wilson Sosion, karibu sana, and David Alulu, who is a political analyst. Welcome, gentlemen. We are expecting nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda to join us later. All right, let's start. On the first page of the Star newspaper, why Ruto taxes could be futile once the controller of budget. The story is continued, or is told in detail on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. And just to tell you a little bit of what the paper is saying, an independent government office has for the first time publicly warned President William Ruto. Ruto's severe tax measures could be counterproductive and potentially plunge the country into a steep fall. Let me start with you, Bwana Sosion. What's your take on this?
Taxation.
Yes.
The tax that has been imposed in Kenya, I think we should stop discussing the negative side for it. There is a purpose for collection of taxes, and this is well framed out. It is well balanced out to relieve those Kenyans who ought to be relieved and to extend taxations to critical areas. And of course, in the Finance Act itself, which has been passed, which is law and which is not about to be amended, outlines the taxation measures. That's what we call revenue collection measures. Because we expect government to give services. If we expect government to give services, it must engage in proper taxation. The only problem that we have is that we are not looking at the history of our financial state as a country. The debts is the big elephant in our economy. And the debts which are maturing, which were borrowed, we don't know what it was meant to do, we can't see what it did, but it must be repaid. While being repaid, services must be delivered to Kenyans. And if I can give you the history of both the domestic and external debts in this country, across the last 4 presidents. Let me say 3. Moi retired with a domestic debt of 650 billion in the economy. That was modest. And Kibaki retired with a domestic debt of 1.7 trillion. That's almost 3 times what Moi left in 24 years. Kibaki tripled it in 10 years. Uhuru Kenyatta left with a staggering world-class domestic and external debts of 9.2 trillion, up from 1.7 trillion to 9.2. Look at that stiff rise. And then you are here asking, why tax? We must pay these debts, 9.2 trillion. While at the same time asking, all these debts, all this borrowing, what did it do to Kenyans? And when President William Ruto took over the reins of power of this country, it was appreciated that the production sector of the economy had been stifled. It's not working, it's dead. Agriculture is dead, dairy industry is dead, coffee is dead, tea everywhere. And manufacturing has been slowed down. And now for the last 10 years, a lot of resources has been directed to capital production, capital sector. You cannot build roads and railways without linking it to the production sector of the economy. And that is what is being corrected. So these painful taxation measures is the only way, the only option, and the best ship home in the current circumstances. So the economy will remain complicated for a while. We will not be out of the woods immediately. And as we reinvigorate the production sector of the economy and bring down the cost of living and allow citizens to access food and the basic services, the taxation measures are not going to run away very soon. It is the only way of fixing the economy. And that is what Kenyans have accepted. And it's already within the framework of the legislation. Let's live with it. Let's fix the economy. Let us bring corruption to zero tolerance and let the economy grow. That is the only way. That's the only option.
Alulu, if before you give as you give your views on this, I'd also want you to touch on something that the controller of budget said, that there is an optimal tax rate to which, if surpassed, would trigger economic slump. Your views on that?
Thank you so much. Much as we need the tax to be paid,
yes,
I think we are exaggerating it to an extent that, you see, yes, we have a debt problem.
Yes.
We have a challenge as a country, but trying to fix this challenge within a short period of time,
yes,
might be very harmful, yes, and dangerous both to the country and her citizens. I was having a conversation with one friend of mine who works with KRA, and she told me the challenge they are having is that they go out to persuade people to pay. To an extent, they feel they are abusing the taxpayer.
Yes.
Because, say for example, I owe 100 million. And myself, I'm running negatives of millions. So you come to drain me, by all means, you'll have to lock me down. So if you lock me down, one, you are not getting the dues that I owe, and number two, I'll not be able to service my responsibilities, yes, because of the huge bill you are putting on me. So as a country,
yes,
I think there is a need for us to try and find a better way of increasing this gradually. Maybe we could take one step this year and another step next year. I was surprised learning that now it is being recommended, yes, that we should have people coming in, yes, with goods worth $500 should be taxed at the airport.
Yes.
And you realize that this is actually one way of scaring the taxpayer, because one way of avoiding to pay is, once I am sure and I am aware that my gift shall be taxed somewhere, I would rather sell it and come with my money. I'll find a way of fixing that here locally. So I think the advice is timely.
Yes.
There is a need for the country, both from the presidency to the legislature and everyone else, to understand that, yes, we want to meet these obligations. We want to pay our debts. We want to service our economy. We want to improve our infrastructure. But much as we want to do this, can we do it orderly? Can we take it step by step, so that everybody appreciates the goodwill, and at the same time, me, the taxpayer, I'm doing it feeling happy, because I have something left for me and my children, I have something for my country, I have something to keep going. So much as it's good, I support we have to pay the tax, we need to do this, but there should be a better way. There should be a better way that will make everybody feel like nobody is being abused or pressed too hard, because when you squeeze it too hard, then you might end up killing it. And when you kill it...
Will that impact on the structure of the economy?
Yes, it will impact, but negatively. Because if you kill the taxpayer, who pays the tax? There is nobody to pay. So you must find a better way of keeping the taxpayer alive, make their enterprises flourish. And by that, we mean when my enterprise is working, yes, I'm able to service the economy. I'm able to pay my taxes. I'm able to pay my employees and everybody else. Yes. So by all means, it will affect the economy. It will affect us negatively, because when people stop paying or start running away from paying, because that's what people will start doing, then we lose the whole idea of wanting to get people pay. So yes, we want to pay, but can we do it the right way? The right way is, let's do this gradually. You can't have me tax me on my shoe, tax my trouser, tax my jacket, tax my tie, tax my watch. The next thing you'll say, we want to tax your breath. And by the end of it, all people run away and start going to other places. So there need to be order on this one.
All right. A regional weatherman says 80% sure of heavy rains. Possible flooding in Ukambani coast and northeastern. That is a story you will find on page 2 of the Star newspaper. There was also another story. Senators grill CS Jeru over debt-ridden water agencies. Committee takes him to task over the huge loans secured by the 9 farms. That page you will find it on page 7 of the Star newspaper. There's another story concerning the impeachment of Kawira Mwangaza, who is the Meru governor. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio senators split on mood for trial of the embattled Meru governor Kawira Mwangaza. Nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda joining us on set. Karibu sana.
Asante.
And for the purposes of fairness,
Yes.
we are before you came in, we were talking about the taxes. The controller of budget is saying the taxes could be futile. I don't know what your views on this matter.
My apologies for being late, and it's a great morning to be here to start with, Mike.
Karibu sana.
And the issue of tax is an issue that we've been having quite a lengthy discussion as a nation, as a country. And I want to state that it's very clear that one of the ways of any government getting resources or getting funds is through taxation. And then how do we mitigate our issues? How do we pay our debts if then we do not collect taxes? What I want to agree with, yes, truthfully, is the fact that at the moment, the cost of living is high. We do agree that. But the measures that as Kenya Kwanza we are putting are long-term measures. So at this moment, there's going to be that feel, or there is already that feel in terms of things are very tight. Yes. The cost of fuel is also high. But remember, it's not only a Kenyan issue. It's a worldwide issue. This is brought also about by the wars that we are seeing. We started with the Ukraine, now it's the Israel and Palestine war. Yeah. So these are worldwide issues, and fuel has gone high. So as much as we'll compare maybe with Uganda and Tanzania, but definitely the cost has increased, which then trickles down and increases the cost of production. Definitely the cost of the end product, either a service or a product, the price will go high. But we've tried as a government to be able to try and look at it from the lower perspective, whereby we've reduced taxes for the raw material. Look at the agricultural sector. The cost of the raw materials for the fertilizer and other areas in terms of the seedlings, the pesticides that are used for agriculture, the raw materials cost and the taxation has been lower. This is to ensure that there's a minimal cost in the production. Look at the cost of the fertilizer. When we came into this government, it was retailing at 7,000. As we speak, it's about 2,500. This is to encourage agriculture, because agriculture is the best economic area that definitely will be able to give us bigger revenues. The other time people are asking, why is the president traveling this one? And he clearly stated it's to open business. He's doing bilateral talks for more business, and especially in the agricultural sector. And how do we achieve that? We achieve that by ensuring our cost of agricultural production is totally minimized. So currently there's that hit in terms of cost because of the fuel issue, but it's not a permanent issue. In the long run, definitely things will be better.
Yes.
Yes.
The controller of budget is saying there's a optimal tax rate that if we surpass it, it will trigger an economic slump. What are your thoughts on that?
We have experts. I believe we have experts at the National Treasury, and they have not communicated that. Led by, of course, our learned friend Professor Andongo and his colleagues, the PS Kipto. That advice has not come, so I believe we still have experts. That has not been pronounced, so we await, and we believe we'll be able to get the facts as time goes by. But I don't think, as a country, with the leadership of Dr. William, that will be something we will get to, and should not worry Kenyans, because the country is prepared, as the president has always confidently communicated to Kenyans.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Kenya is first Commonwealth country to host King Charles. Ruto had new black leather shoes, while those worn by the king seem to have done some kilometers before yesterday. Now, that story, you will find it on the 8th page of the Star newspaper. During yesterday's state banquet for the king and queen, nominated senator, The king came close to apologizing for the atrocities committed to Kenyans during the colonial era. Is that the much he can do in as far as the apologies that Kenyans are demanding is concerned?
No, Mike. Allow us as Kenyans, one, to highly appreciate that we are the only country the king has decided to make a visit, and a high-end visit for that matter.
Yes.
He's not a politician to start with, and as a country, as a nation, we are very much honored for that. So we cannot just narrow it and try to look at it from the perspective of that is the only thing in terms. I mean, he's been very humble, we've seen. He did not come with the big escorts because these roads will be actually closed in this town, and Kenyans will not be able to go to work. He's so much indicated a humbleness of a leader, something that we really appreciate. He's been able to go, to the lower areas of this country, not so much the high-end areas, and something that we pride in. We pride in as a country that, of course, is going to increase our tourism sector for that matter. So when we start narrowing it to that is the only thing, then that would be very sad, because him being not a politician, I listened to him and I loved the fact that for once we could have a state dinner not discussing politics. It was great, as much as some of us could not have been born by then, but it is happy to see a leader, a king, being there and just, discussing, more general matters, climate matters, green environment, yes, what happened is acknowledging, and not so much politics. It was a beautiful environment to be with. It's actually for this week, we are not having very headlines of politics so much. It is cool, it is beautiful, and look at the other time we were having the summit for the climate change. It gave our country, it was a beautiful a moment to have. Now we again have the king. It's great, it's beautiful. We should not use this opportunity that the king is here to try and do any politics or politicize. You saw, I was even happy. I saw our opposition leader, Honorable Raila Odinga, was there. It was beautiful, and I'm happy because, of course, he was invited and he went to State House to welcome the king. And that is the face of Kenya that we need. That is the leadership that we need, and it looked warm. There's no politics, there's no negativity in it, and that is what, as a country, we should focus on and look at things from that particular perspective.
Still on the same story, the first page of the Daily Nation, terming it as historic visit. King Charles speaks on his family's and Britain's special connections to Kenya and roots for an even closer partnership of equals between the two nations, but the British monarch also wades into countries' wrongdoings of the past against Kenyans, promising to deepen his understanding of the wrongs as President Ruto pushes for reparation. Bwana Sosion, closer to partnership of equals. Are we going to achieve this?
Yeah, we'll achieve it through bilateral negotiations. The world has become a global village. And if we recede to the past, we are not going to move forward. And the visit of the king is more to do with deepening relations between Kenya and the UK. And not just Kenya and the UK, the Commonwealth countries. Because King Charles is the head of the Commonwealth countries. And we all know the former colonial countries of the UK, some of them still opted to remain dominions of the UK, even after independence. Talk of Canada, talk of Australia, talk of New Zealand. They are still dominions. They can only have a prime minister, but they are under the Queen's dominion, Jamaica, Bahamas, and the rest. But as Kenya, we chose to be a republic. That was an option. And other than choosing as a republic, we agreed to be members of the Commonwealth. And there are a lot of bilateral relations between Kenya and Britain, ranging from education, culture, tourism, and the activities of the king himself is focused on climate change and conservation. Those are areas of mutual benefits and areas of investment that will really be very key. Kenya, we export our coffee. We export our tea. And our main market is Europe and particularly Britain. So we have a lot to share with Britain and make it a market of most of our cash crops. Not only coffee and tea, but also horticulture. Kenya is a country that produces, it's one of the leading countries in flower production. So I think at this stage, there's a lot that we can deepen in terms of relations between Kenya and the UK. As has been stated by the senator here, the president has been traveling out of the country to strengthen international relations with Kenya for purposes of promoting business. And as you can see in the entire Africa, Kenya is abolishing visas so that is free movement of people within the continent of Africa. And it's not only within Africa. Kenya is abolishing visas with many countries outside Africa so that the volume of tourists can go up. Imagine, tourism alone can be an industry that can surpass even manufacturing. Yes, in terms of revenue, and it's a ready market. In fact, one tourist gives jobs to 6 persons at a time. So if we have the volume of tourists rise to, say, for example, 20 million, because to be very economical, the number of tourists, visitors visiting the country should be half the population of that country. So hypothetically, if we are 60 million, then we should be receiving 30 million tourists. And we have to do that by opening relations and that are functional between Kenya and other countries. And if that is done, and if the numbers go up, then now the bottom up that we've been talking about will be achieved. Because if you talk of 30 million tourists, times 6 jobs, that is 120 million jobs. We'll have more jobs in this country that we may require labor force even from outside. You know, to change the economy is not complicated mathematics. It's not algebra. It is deliberate intention. So I think the coming of the king, through the invitation of the president, will advance our relationship with the UK and will lead to a balance of trade in the long run. If we have more tourists coming to Kenya, there's a big boost to the economy. If we have more of our coffee targeting the UK, more of our tea, more of our agricultural products targeting the UK, that is good to our economy. If we have more of jobs in the UK set aside for Kenyans, say nursing and several other jobs, then that's a good thing. I've been to the UK several, and I've seen the many teachers from Jamaica, Bahamas, they move to the UK to teach and go back to their home countries. Now that Kenya is a former colony of the UK, and linguistically, Kenyans are proficient in communication in English, then our labor force, our technical professionals, the best place to work would be definitely the UK. So I think this visit is historic, and it will yield dividends and benefits to this country. And I think we should encourage it. The other side issues of historical injustices, those can be dealt with through the diplomatic channels. And I think the president made a statement, and the king also acknowledged, and those are matters, those are side issues that can be dealt with in a sober way. And by the way, which part of the world was not colonized? Europe was colonized. Europe was colonized. Talk of Poland during the Second World War. Much of Europe was occupied by Germany, but later on it was reclaimed. The US was colonized, and everywhere in the world was colonized. And if we go back to histories of atrocities, then we will begin another Third World War. And I think, as Jomo Kenyatta said, to sahau yaliyopita and let us concentrate in building our nations and building relations with our friends, including our former colonies, colonial masters.
Yes. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Hii investigation sasa ile wewe limaliza, wewe lipata mimi ni nani ya marehemu,
wewe ni ndugu yake,
na wewe lipata hii msichana Lucy ni nani yake,
ni mtoto yake, hata kama sio biological, yeye ameadapt na akachukua hiyo majukumu ya mzazi kwake.
Yes, I think that is correct because automatically wewe find out ya kwamba yeye si part of the family.
Kwa hivyo wewe unajua huyu si mtoto wa ndugu yako?
As far as I am concerned, huyu si mtoto ya.
Una uhakika gani? Na mbona walikuwa wenye mali waliwacha urithi yeye ndiye achukue? Mbona hawakukuandikia wewe kama wewe ndio ulikuwa unahusika?
This was a mistake. And after this case I'm going to challenge that will in a court.
Objection in your So sorry, I'm so sorry.
Sasa huyu naye ni nani?
I'm failing my exams.
Wewe ni nani?
I'm a lawyer.
Lawyer wa nani?
Professional mheshimiwa.
Lawyer wa nani?
Wa makofia mheshimiwa. So, can we go to Camp 63?
Whom are you representing? Wewe.
KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part of the intelligent conversation upon KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Basi karibu tujifunze.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
So you have a say.
Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1, and my name is Mike Migwe, and my panelists today include nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda, Honorable Wilson Sosion, and David Alulu. We continue with what is on the Daily Nation today. Candidates sit their tests in hospital as national examinations draw to a close. At least the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, or KAPSEA, national examinations entered their second day yesterday with senior government officials monitoring the exercise. Education Cabinet Secretary Machogu revealed that 21 candidates in Nairobi County alone are writing their exams while hospitalized. Bwana Sosion, this idea of students writing their examinations in hospital, is it because it's the last batch of the KCPE that is being done, or will that, if they do not sit for their exams, will that leave them out of the lot that will be going ahead with their education?
I think these are reforms that envisaged even as we move forward. Candidates who are indisposed and they're in hospital, and you them take exams in hospital in a disadvantaged environment, will you really get the true measure of their aptitude and performance? Many of us professionals think we put exams in with a lot of premium, that you must have policemen with guns all over the place and so much work, and unnecessarily. Why? Because also parents put a lot of pressure on children that they must score certain grades and achieve certain levels. I think it has reached a time we normalize evaluations in our teaching and learning systems, to the extent that even if a child is sick and is admitted in a hospital, don't take an exam to the hospital. Grant that child an opportunity to sit for those tests after coming out of the hospital in an orderly way. If that is negotiated and reviewed, then we'll have a more effective evaluation program. Or alternatively, you can the summative evaluation and records of a student can be used to matriculate that student.
But this is in a push to achieve.
Possible because that data is there. Because we must modernize our education system. And part of what we have within the CBC framework is documentation of formative evaluation work that will be available at the end of every phase of learning. So I think this business of students taking exams in hospital professionally, to me, doesn't make sense. The only challenge is that maybe NEC doesn't have the ability to set supplementary exams and other things for such students.
But I think it's pushed by the idea of 100% transition to the next.
100% transition you'll still achieve if after this there is room for a student to sit for an exam in February, another one to sit in March, and during that period that can allow transition, let it be allowed, because teachers are available to mark, and examiners are available to set the exams, and it is possible to administer. It is time we give evaluation a human face, and even take it away from the guns and all this bravado of security, so that it's a normal thing that's accepted and it can be done. Anyway, what would be wrong with even downloading exams in future through a digital portal and you administer? We don't need to give it this too much premium. Why? It is used for transition to the next level. In some jurisdictions and other organized education systems, what you score even in such an exam does not determine your admission to a given course in any university. You will have to do what we call entrance exams to the various courses. If you want to take medicine, regardless of what you scored at that examination, you take entrance exams to medicine in a given university, entrance exams to engineering, entrance exams. Probably those are some of the reforms that we may need to transit into the future and remove this wild premium and let education be education and let learners take exams when they're able. Those of us who have been through universities, people who are sick are never given exam papers in hospitals. They are allowed to sit supplementary exams. Why? Because it is known when you are sick, you are not mentally stable and in the right mind to sit for exams. So for me, I don't believe in examination papers being taken to hospitals to sick students. That is adding sickness on top of another sickness. Let students who are sick be treated. And once they are medically fit, let them be given supplementary exams. There are not very many. They could be numbering not more than 1,000. So to administer supplementary exams, different sets of questions to 1,000 students is not a big deal. I'm sure our teachers are willing to go a step further and assist those students take those exams.
David Alulu, I'd love to hear your views on that. And even as you speak on it, in your own view, have we hurried the CBC system, the transition to CBC system?
Before I answer that, you didn't give me an opportunity to talk about the kings, whatever. Allow me an opportunity to say something. You know, Kenya is more of a country of noise making. We are, yes. It is so routine that unless people make noise and shout, they feel like nothing is going on. The Mandamano Mondays come to now the case of a public apology, king should apologize. Yes. You realize that most of the people who are shouting loudest on this one are activists who want to be noticed, who want to be given some credit. But you see, when you have a figure of king coming to Kenya and actually acknowledging that, yes, there has been a problem. We acknowledge that Kenyans suffered, and all these problems, we acknowledge them. That is, in a simplest term, saying His Highness, His Majesty has acknowledged that there is a problem and they are fixing it diplomatically. So I think it's about time that Kenya started moving from the noise-making kind of politics. Like Senator said, you see, with the leader of opposition at State House, and everybody was smiling, nobody was looking like they want to throw a stone to another party. It tells you that Kenya can be a better country without a lot of noise. We can progress, we can achieve so much. And I was just telling a friend, maybe when the king was saying hi to Raila Odinga, he was telling him, continue, endelea namna hivyo, usipige kelele, ndio inchi kwe mzuri. So I think him coming is symbolic that he appreciates, he acknowledges, and affirms that Kenya is a good country.
Does that elevate Kenya to a big, better standing at the global level?
Of course, yes. You know, I was hearing a story of a German president in Tanzania, and then King Charles III in Kenya. And everybody, all the cameras, attention is on Kenya right now, because if one of the greatest man on the global planet is in this country, and not for 1 day, 4 days, it tells you that that is a greatest tool of appreciation and approval. So Kenya is headed the right direction, because some people who are afraid of coming to Kenya to spend a night will say, if King was there for 4 nights and nothing happened to him, then what about me, David Alulu, just a common man? I can go and spend time everywhere in Kenya. So it's anyway, it's a greatest approval. And he's not just staying in Nairobi, he's going to Mombasa. So, you know, to me, it's a plus. And Kenya should be happy. Our activists, political activists, should for once sit down and say, we thank the king for coming to make Kenya look great, because we want Kenya to be great. And it can look greater if only we tone down on noise making and breaking glasses and throwing stones, and for once sit down and say, okay, so we have all these problems, but how well can we make Kenya a better place? By us talking. If we start like we are sitting like this and talked about issues and found a solution without throwing stones, we shall make Kenya a great country. But if we burn the roads, we break the glasses so that we can be acknowledged, unajenga na kubomoa at the same time, so it does not help. But to the education, I don't think CBC was hard. I don't want to believe that. I believe there are areas that need to be improved. I believe there are sections of the CBC that need to be worked on. We know. I personally have a child who is in grade 7, so I am under grade 3, so I'm a parent who is benefiting or under this system. I know the challenges. I know there are areas we can do better. So all we need at this particular time is, you know, I love the way these examinations have been conducted. Far from the previous regime where we saw ministers, security, every morning, everywhere, everybody. There was lots of tension. The tension has toned down, and it tells you we are now headed into an era where people will enjoy going to school and doing exams. You don't need to panic when it is exam time, because people know it is not a do or die thing. That is one. Children are prepared, not grading because you got a lot of points, but because there is this thing they call exceeding expectation and something of that kind, the way they're assessing it, it tells you it is something that was due. We needed it. There is a friend who says, in Kenya, we teach people about mosquitoes and flies, yet we are supposed to teach them how to become competent, that we train them. In future, you don't need to be a teacher for you to earn. You can be a mechanic, you can be a plumber, you can be a farmer and still lead a good life. So I think CBC is timely. We needed it. We just need to support it and give it goodwill for us to progress. Goodwill is what we need as a country. I think we are only lacking goodwill from across the board. Those who find themselves in opposition have made it their business to always shout about anything. Those in government have also made it their business to support literally anything without having to analyze things. Where there is a problem, we admit there is a problem here, and this is how we can approach it to fixing it. And that is how we can make Kenya a great country.
Senator, do you think people, some Kenyans, have really understood what the system of CBC is?
Allow me to pick it up from where Mr. David has just ended, when saying the people in the opposition, they're always there to try and criticize the government, the negative, and then us on the government side, we are always supporting everything without. Here on this show, I've said and accepted that the cost of living is high. Because I say true leadership is accepting and understanding what is the challenge. Because out of that understandability, then you are able to put the right solution. So not everything that we agree. Where there is a problem, we say there is a problem. And we say because we have a good leader, the president, who listens and actions. And that is why, if you remember, even during the finance bill, when issues came about and Kenyans raised concerns through the different stakeholders that came aboard, then adjustments were done in the same finance bill. It was not cast, you know. Just on a light note. Now, on CBC, I'm a very proud parent of CBC, coming from an 844 system where we are coming from. And looking back when I was doing some of the studies, you know, I'm one of those people who had said a long time ago that I can never be in politics. Look at me where I am today. And look at what I did in terms of my earlier studies. But right now, I'm in parliament, you see. If I had been really shaped a long time, let me tell you, Mike, if I had been shaped a long time from a leadership and a political perspective, you can imagine then where I would be. So I want to really appreciate CBC. And I want to appreciate the fact that definitely, like any new system, there'll be turbulence here and there. We don't expect 100% in the beginning. But I want to acknowledge that we've seen a bigger 80%. Our kids, our students are much more factual. They're trying to be realistic with the current happenings and trying to practice in the institutions of learning what needs to be done at an early time. And through that, as a parent, it helps you to be able then to see your child, how do you support your child in shaping them to their dreams, to their goals, to their talent, in terms of what they are best in. And you know very well, we don't all thrive in academy. Some even thrive in like in sports and other different aspects. And through CBC then, it gives parents an opportunity to be able, and also the teachers, to be able to shape the learners, and the learners to enjoy the learning system. If you remember at our time, you know, it was marathon. It was, you could even hear subjects like mathematics, but of course I was one of the good students of mathematics, but you could hear mathematics and people, because that was the narrative then. But today it's a bit different. There's no so much issue of these subjects because now they're being taught differently. There's actualization. Parents have also now been forced, there's no choice, to be able to ensure that they undertake the CBC process with their kids, which is much better. So to me, where we are, it's good. And what needs to happen is for us, it needs both the parents and both the teachers and the students. It's a teamwork, collaborative, long-term goal issue. So it's a good process.
So, Bwana Sosion, comparatively, KCPE and KCSE exams in the yesteryears have been marred with the cases of cheating, even before, during, and after. So, and this year, we are hearing almost no cases of cheating or malpractices. What has changed?
If you look at the way education was handled by Jubilee regime and the way it's being handled by Kenya Kwanza, it's a complete shift, total shift. The way CBC was rolled out was more confusing and during Jubilee regime, but during this regime, you can see there have been a lot of public consultations and there is a lot of recalibration of delivery of CBC, including national examinations, with the clear transitional models from grade 6 to grade 7, and where learners remain at the comprehensive schools. Now that we have what we call comprehensive schools from grade 1 to 9, we don't expect any heated drama around KBC exams. And with the organized transition from standard 8 to Form 1, 100%, then we don't expect a lot of tension around KCB and leakages in exams.
Yes.
Now, and with improved transition, very orderly transition. In fact, a lot of reforms have been undertaken in exams by Kenya Kwanza regime.
Yes.
Yeah. Last year, the transition to universities was calibrated to around 19%. That is around 175,000 students out of 800 transiting to universities. That reduced tension because that assured transition in higher numbers. And another bigger number to mid-level institutions, that is about 400,000. When there is assured mobility and transition, then the business of pressure for stealing and for getting high marks definitely dissipates out of the window. The latest reform in grading of exams in Form 4. Remember, initially there were mandatory 5 subjects that must be graded. That was the 2 languages, mathematics, and at least 2 sciences. Mandatory. Now that mandatory category of 5 has been reduced to 2. Any of the languages and mathematics only. And then you can be graded on the next best 5 without categorizing humanities, technical subjects, foreign languages, and all that. So that then you are graded on the best 5. When you are graded on the best 5, that cluster of subjects almost defines your next career. So that means the performance index of students in the coming KCSE exams will be enhanced, will be better, and will be tailored towards career. So I think those are the reforms that have been put in place. Of course, I saw some people making noise that, the Presidential Working Party report is being implemented without approval of Parliament. The report will go to Parliament through a session or paper. But that does not mean the recommendations cannot be implemented. If the law permits implementations of those recommendations, then the ministry implements it outright. The Kenya National Examinations Council give powers, NEC Act, give powers the minister to execute certain mandates. KICD the same. You can see KICD now is obligated through the report to reduce the learning areas from 14 to 9 for junior secondary, to reduce at the primary and the upper levels. That is permitted by that. So we should make education more friendly, more career focused, and I would like to allay fears that, of course, we have gone into a more relaxed and laissez-faire kind of education system. Still, if you look at the model from the Presidential Working Party, at the tail end of junior secondary, there will be final exams accounting for 60%. That means we, as a country, we are maintaining our knowledge-based education system. We are not going to throw knowledge out of the window. Good mathematicians, good physics students, good chemistry students, they will still be tested on the basis of knowledge. And that's the argument we made. We cannot have the exams and the learning system running fully on formative tests.
Yes.
There must be a summative test to protect the knowledge-based education. And at the tail end of grade 12, there will be a summative evaluation accounting for 70%. That means we as a country, we are retaining our strong knowledge-based education system while integrating the competencies, skills, and value-based education of the 21st century. And therefore, I think the reforms in the general environment of exams and focusing on particular careers in terms of grading gives a lot of hopes. If I want to be a medical doctor, a student would definitely focus on the 3 sciences, maths and a language very strongly, and you'll be graded on that. And you will know your performance as you progress. So the new reform grading system, which is going to affect Form 4 this year, and you will see pass rates going up and transition to universities going up. Exams do not exist to be barriers of transition. Exams exist to assist in transition and guide in career choices. That is where Magoa and Matiang'i failed, because they made it an animal and removed what you call moderation of exams so that you can guide students and normalize scores of students. And you see, we committed what we call examination genocide by reducing pass rates from 265,000 to universities down to 88,000. We have so many vacancies in universities, but you are restricting transition. That was a wrong thing, very inhuman. And this has been corrected by Root administration up to 19%. And now with these exams, which are forthcoming, the transition will be far much higher. The students know very well as they sit exams that we shall be graded on one language. It's either maths or English, the one you have done very well. If you score A in English and you score C in Kiswahili, you'll be graded on your English. And together with mathematics, and then the next best 5. So students are now calibrating and looking for their bearings and trying to work out their best options and investment of energies, which is a good thing.
In other words, they go...
So what you are lacking in this country is serious leadership to address salient issues. That has been addressed. And I can tell you, even as we continue graduating the KCSE exams, you will see normalization and completely elimination of examinations cheating. We never had examinations cheating previously in the past until we introduced this cutthroat process of difficult admission and transition to higher institutions.
All right. On page 8 of the Daily Nation, still on the Daily Nation, Senate to rule on Kawera's ouster in plenary. Committee route rejected. The Senate will decide on the fate of besieged Meru Governor Kawera Mwangaza in plenary after Kenya Kwanza Alliance rejected the special committee. Senator, why the plenary route?
Standing orders, standing order number 80 is very clear that in the event of an impeachment, the Speaker of the House addresses the Senate and reads the charges that have been put across. And there are 2 options. That is one, the committee of a special committee of 11 members of the plenary. All these ways are there in our standing orders and all ways are effective. And so what had happened is that with the leadership of the House, and like most of us, I included, we are new members in the House, and we've experienced an impeachment process through the committee. I was also privileged to be in the committee for the Deputy Governor for CI impeachment. And so we were able to see how that process takes place. And so we had agreed with the leadership that we will now, in the event of another such impeachment, then we will go the plenary way. And so, secondly, you realize that the governor is coming in a second time. The first time he came to Senate, he was the first governor to appear, and the route that was used, or the procedure, was a committee procedure, which upheld, which is okay. And now that she has been brought in again, now we also felt in them as then, why don't we try plenary? I personally, I did support plenary. On the facts of one, having the experience of how this plenary also takes place, because you realize the other members who are sitting on a second term in Senate, they've had both opportunities to be able to undertake the processes in plenary and committee. Secondly, there's the aspect of the women, the gender factor. As women, as Kenyan women leaders, we are also concerned. We want to understand, is it a women issue in Meru? Is it a leadership issue? Is it an incompetence issue? Is it a governance issue? What is the issue? And you look at that committee, we had only, I think, 3 to 4 women. We are 21 in number in Senate. Of course, the men are majority. Yes. So it is in the best of our interest as women to have all of us, the 21, to be able to listen to the woman governor and get to understand, are these issues women-based? Are these issues leadership, as I've said, governance and all that, so that now it gives us a total coverage, a total platform to be able to get to the bottom of things as a full house, to be able to understand herself. She actually gets a very fair opportunity because it will be a decision for the whole, not just a decision of just 11 members alone, but this time round now she can be listened to more, so that if she goes back to work with to continue working for her people, then she will, maybe now we would have understood her much better, and maybe the people will also understand her and how they continue working with her. If in the unfortunate event, that does not happen, then we would have had an opportunity to really get to the bottom and get to understand, because we are also concerned. We want to understand what is really happening, because it is, I know Governor Wambora of Embu, it happened the same. It was not the first time, he had come the second time, but now this one has been very hurried so much, and Kenyans are concerned at large as a whole. People of Meru are very, very much concerned. So the best, fairest way is for us to be able to listen and be able to get to the bottom of things. I've seen there are 7 accounts, so we'll be able to listen and be able to analyze and be able to see, does this formula work in future, it doesn't work, or what are the pros, what are the cons. So it's a fair, maximum fair ground.
Bwana Alulu, what are the odds, given that the governor is coming back to the Senate for a second time for an impeachment hearing? What are the odds?
The precedence that was set during the last parliament was that when an impeached governor goes into the full house, it is more like a judgment already delivered, you are going home. You remember the case of Waititu and then Mike Sonko.
Yes.
By that time, there was this reggae song, Nobody Can Stop Reggae. And I remember one Mutula Kilonzo Jr., the governor for Makueni, who came out and said, we have decided, nobody can stop reggae. This man is going home. We're talking about Waititu. So I want to agree with what Senator is saying. For justice to prevail and for everybody to feel like they have participated and put in their input, I think it is good for everybody to see, because actually it is confusing, really, how within a short period of time, the same person coming back, almost on similar charges, and everybody is concerned on whether it is matters of governance or just like Senator put it. So let it go whichever way, but let there be justice for both Meru people and also the governor, because she's human If I was in her place, I think I would be feeling so bad right now. I can imagine what she's going through. So let there be justice for Meru people.
Yes.
Let there be justice. Let Governor Kawira Mwangaza not be judged as a woman.
Yes.
She should be judged as a leader,
yes,
given mandate by people of Meru. If she has failed and she deserves to go home, well and good.
Yes.
If she still has a chance to improve and make things well, and the Senate decides to save her,
yes,
then we proceed to see.
There's something I'd love to hear from all of you. Before you say that, you say something concerning that. I'd like to know, why is it that every time a governor is impeached, the deputy is left in office? Aren't they joined at the hip because they campaigned together?
No, not really, Mike, because the constitution is very clear. In the event that a governor is not in office, maybe case example because of death, or case example because of the impeachment process, then the deputy takes office and also appoints a deputy governor. We've seen the case happening in Nairobi. So the law is very clear, the constitution is very clear in regards to the position of the deputy governor. And that is why I want to urge even deputy governors and governors, kindly work well together. Work well together. There needs to be teamwork, because we've seen from Senate side, we've seen a trend whereby at times governors are taking deputy governors for the purposes of just winning an election, but not really for the purposes of ensuring that they are working. They become sort of like flowers during the process of the political process, the campaign time and all that. But when they come to office, they are null and void. The high time that governors need to note and to ensure they uphold constitution and work very closely with their deputy governors, because even that deputy governor can be your governor tomorrow, because the constitution is very clear. And back on this issue, I want to state, I'm the one who actually appears with some of my colleagues on the newspaper everywhere with the Governor Kawira. And we will appear because the first time she was appeared, because personally, I witnessed, having been in Senate, I saw her really shed tears and crying. And as a woman, I felt her so much as a leader. That is why when all was well at the first impeachment, we walked the hall with her. We were there with her, gave her encouragement and requested her, go and work for the people of Meru. We wish you the best. In case of anything, we are here and all that. So that's why we are so much concerned, and that's why we want to know, really, in this country, is it a women issue? Women cannot lead. What is the issue? And those answers, Kenyans are curious, and I know other women leaders are very curious to get to the bottom of things and get to understand what is the issue in this country. Knowing very well that we are very few, and even most of the time I come to this show, Mike, I'm the only woman. We are only having the male gender, most of them. There are very few political discussions whereby we are full as women, because we are few, and as I've said in Senate, we are only 21 out of the other number, out of 67 less 21. The men are the majority. Actually about 44 or something like that. They are the majority. So we really need a very this issue of Kawira will give us a way forward as far as women leadership in this country is concerned. So it is a matter that we are very keen on. We are going to get to the bottom of it to get to understand what is the real problem.
Yes. Before Bwana Sosion, you say something, we're going to take a short break. Tunakuja kwako. We'll be right back.
Danielle got Carolina pregnant.
Is that right? It's really unfair because this is happening right now. Just when we're finally free and the two of us can be together. It's as if life has some kind of grudge against us, as though we're...
So what do you think? Do you think he took the bait?
He didn't bite. He swallowed the whole thing.
To right, know the saga man then. I could no man have with the one of them are humiliate. Remember, could no man from here can bring the rap into the state. Big, cat big, house big, big. We no worry, we no worry, we no worry about that. We sing for the girl.
Ensure that before any game or before any activity, it's very good and very crucial for the players and the participants to warm up before the activity. That one prepares the body and the muscles for a certain activity, and it's also psychological.
How then is the role of a sports physiotherapist for that matter?
It really helps them come back to their normal activity in the field and as well as improve their performance in sports.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1. Before we went on a break, we were talking about how the Senate is going to rule on Kawira's ouster in the plenary committee, but the committee route was rejected. Bwana Sosion, you wanted to say something concerning this?
Yeah, from the labor world and looking at rights of individuals and people and the framework of this constitution and the clause of impeachment.
Yes.
I would say impeachment clause in this constitution has been weaponized and misused. And at this time, it's reviewed. If you look at the circumstances around Mike Songo, that was instigated by the state at that time. Removal of Mike Songo, removal of Ferdinand Waititu. It was instituted by the state. And the MCAs chaperoned to remove them. And the same Senate was choreographed by the state to remove, to pass it. I know, I was in the 12th Parliament. And even with this matter that we have seen a number of impeachments. Impeachment of Deputy Governor of Siaya, simply because it's causing with the president. With the sitting president. Where does that put the freedom of association of people? Now, does that qualify? Then you bring in the issue of a seat of 1 million, whatnot, very unverifiable narratives. I want to say this impeachment in this constitutional dispensation has been weaponized and misused. And I can say without any iota of doubt, the activities in Meru is a misuse of impeachment clause to kick Kawira Mwangaza out of office. That is what it is. And for reasons that I don't know about, I think it is time this impeachment, and the Senate should rise to the occasion, this impeachment clause should be subject to the popular approval of the people who elected you. You know, it's very strange that you are elected by the people through one vote. You get into an office. And then a handful of people who are also elected, just like me, conspire to have me out of office and use the various organs. That is the county assembly and the Senate. To me, that is not right. There is no justice there. We are not going to achieve it. No. We are not going to achieve it. The law and the constitution exist as it is with that provision, but I can say looking at the history of activities in Kenya, that law is out of place. That provision is out of place. Impeachment, yes, can be done, but subject to the people who elected you. To me, if the impeachment of Mwangaza, if the constitution was amended, that okay, let the county has impeached her. The Senate impeaches her, assuming they do impeach her. And that impeachment then is subjected to a referendum at that particular county, because those are the people who elected you. You see, once you are elected by the people, then it is the same people who should be able to remove you. If you look at the recall clause of members of parliament, they're supposed to be recalled by the constituents, the people who elected you. And I think that is where the fault is. If you have a misadventurous president or misadventurous entities, very many people will be impeached left, right, and center, not for genuine reasons, but for trumped up charges, so that you get them out of office. Kawira Mwangaza was elected through an independent ticket. So naturally speaking, the MCAs gravitate on another political party. We don't know what other interests are there. But I say genuinely, I sat with Kawira Mwangaza in the 12th parliament, and I know she's forthright and independent, and she fought her way until she was elected governor. You know, for such a person, a lady, to fight through an independent ticket and is elected by the people, that is no mean achievement. And that cannot be thrashed by this parade of activities that we are seeing. That's why I urge the Senate, think properly on this matter. Don't hurry over it. You know me, I'm being extremely honest from the labor and human rights perspective where I come from. To me, I think as Kenya, we should preserve and protect the women who have fought very hard to be elected to certain positions without inviting and weaponizing clauses within the laws and the constitution. For me, I stand with Kawira Mwangaza 100 times, not because of being pious, but because of very fundamental facts. This weaponization, and the Senate should be able to put a lot of safeguards, set the threshold very high for anything to come as an impeachment, and even to pass as an impeachment. The only salvation of weaponization of impeachment clause is the Senate. So I urge the Senate. I'm not urging my good sister here to answer me or to answer us, but I think it's a matter that you reflect when you retreat to your own consultations. These things are not right. They are not morally right, and we cannot set a precedence of uprooting leaders by weaponizing certain provisions and the clauses of the Constitution. I don't believe in that.
But the MCAs can stand and say, we did public participation, these are the findings we got.
It doesn't matter. But you see, the MCAs will tell you they did public participation. They are not the ones who elected the governor. The governor was elected by the people. And I think that power should be transferred back to the people. It is not very difficult for IEBC to conduct a referendum vote in Meru. It's not difficult. Let them do it. Because this is a serious decision of removing a government. It's like removing a president. And we have got very dangerous provisions here. You know, we hurried in getting an uncontested 2010 constitution. That does not mean it's 100%. And look here, I will pick Madam here to be my running mate. And we are very good when we are campaigning. Both of us get elected. Now, those conspiracies will try to impeach me so that she walks into office. And it has happened. You become a governor automatically because I am impeached. But we were on a joint ticket, and all these are political conspiracies. I think we must be true to our democracy as Kenya. And Kenya is respected globally because of our democracy. That's why the king is here. That's why the US, you can see there's a lot of focus with our level of democracy. And I think these things of weaponizing clauses of the Constitution, we should exercise maximum restraint.
Let's hear what Senator has to say concerning that.
I would want to state that currently with this issue of Kawera Senate, all senators, we are now the judges on this particular issue. I would urge that Kenyans give the Senate an opportunity. Let us not try to communicate or prejudice anything at this moment. The decision is with us. As the judges, we are very competent and will be able to get to the bottom of things. Our constitution allows. The business is with us, and give Senate time. Give us the 10 days that are required as per our standing orders, and we'll be able to deliver back to Kenyans what is right. Let there be no worries, and let it be also a learning process. That this is the last place any governor or situation any governor would want to be. At this moment, I urge them to kindly try, work well with their MCAs, work well with their deputies to deliver what they promise. We do not have, we don't have time. We have so many bills to execute. We have so many statements to execute. We have oversight to do for the counties. Our time is so tight and so limited to keep on redoing issues of impeachment issues due to the issues that come across. But kindly give us time, give us the needful that is required. Let us be positive. This is our country. We are all Kenyans, and we believe we shall do our best, and the verdict will be out there in the next 10 days.
Bonalul, you seem like you have something burning you want to say.
Something really burning. I'm not privileged to sit in Senate. But I can advise. We had a case of Anne Waiguru sometimes back. I think by then Hon Sosion was in Senate.
No, I was in the National Assembly.
He wants you to come to Senate.
Now, at that particular time, there was a bad blood between MCAs and Governor Waiguru at that particular time. And after the case was resolved, she went back and found a better way of relating with her MCAs. And then, from there moving forward, actually she was re-elected. And majority of guys who had voted to impeach her supported her bid to become governor for the second time. So I want to distance myself from what Honorable Sosion is saying, that it is a matter of gender. I don't believe that. I want to believe that every leader has a responsibility to teamwork. As a leader, qualified to serve people, you must be willing, number one, to tolerate others, to be patient with others. We all have our shortcomings, but then you understand that once you have been given or elevated to a position of leadership, now you have to put down your pride, you have to put down your stubbornness and agree that there are times, like what happens, many times people wake up and say things about President Ruto and everything, but the man is very much focused on delivering the promise he gave to Kenyans. So I think on this one, if Governor Kawira Mwangaza survives this impeachment, I think it is about time she swallows the pride and goes back to sit down with her MCS and other local leaders and say, here, we must find a common ground to serve the people, because the MCAs and the governor were elected to serve people of Meru County. So I don't think it's gender. I don't think somebody is being biased. I don't think there is an interest somewhere. If you are a leader, you must serve the people and meet the expectations.
What do you think of the public participation that was done there? Did it add any value to the charges level against her?
The problem we are having in Kenya, when it comes to this thing of public participation, and unfortunately, many leaders abuse that right. I was very delighted to see Meru women coming out to speak and say, when we voted, we knew Mwangaza was a female. She was a lady. So we did not just wake up one morning to realize that she's a lady or something. But if something is wrong, it is wrong. We can't try to make wrong things right by just saying, no, it is, ignoring it. We must admit that the wrong is wrong. So public participation, yes, it might have served purpose to some extent. But I have a feeling, when we want to pass some sort of information, I participated in the last election. and I know how politicians operate. If I want people to support my agenda, I'll mobilize my friends and people, my cycle fans, and tell them, go and scream my name out loud so that people can see. But then you realize that the way public participations are conducted in Kenya, we still below average. We need to up our game to making sure that even the resources provided for are in the budget. There should be funds to facilitate public participation independently from favoring this side or the other side. That we have an office that deals with this thing and report is submitted independently. But as it is right now, it is, I think I like the senator, so I should speak in her favor. I don't like Sosiona, I should speak against him. And that is so, public participation 50-50. Not too good, not too bad.
Yes.
And just, Mike, as I think you want to move away from that, but just a simple concern. What is easier? 60 MCAs from your tribe, from your community, from your county, or 67 senators all over this country? Which one is easier? I leave it to that.
All right. There's a story.
This public participation thing. I would like to really weigh in on the same.
Okay.
What is the threshold of public participation? Because people have called biased forums, and you call it public participation. And I think we need to set standards on what really public participation is, to what extent, so that qualitatively we can talk of real public participation, but not massaged. In the 12th Parliament, we had a bill called referendum bill. The best public participation is forms of referendum where people can take a vote and you can verify certain votes, and I think we should move a scale up so that certain decisions of public participation that must be quantified in terms of numbers, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Because in quantitative you say, okay, how many people attended? There were 500 attendees. What was the decision? 300 voted for and 200 against. So that you have quantitative data and you can bring in the argument. These were the arguments that were raised by that's qualitative. So really, we've got to set some certain standards and thresholds. I still throw it back to the Senate. In as much as we have confidence in the Senate, and they are wise men and women, I think they also welcome the pieces of advice and opinions from Kenyans. We should also know what we think independently as Kenyans. And I think those are things that needs to be said, not only by the Senate, but even by the National Assembly. When we talk of public participation in this country, what do we mean? We face such a problem in the reforms of CBC because the fathers at Jogo and Jubilee were telling us, no, we did public participation. But you see, from our analysis within the Kenya Kwanza, the fact is there was no sufficient and extensive and intensive public participation in CBC rollout, which the Presidential Working Party on Education and Reforms conducted a more detailed one. And you can see in the report, meetings were held in this were the opinion and all that. So this is where the clause of public participation again has been misused by creating forums that are biased, and you try to force it on Kenyans that this was public participation when it is actually choreographed and weaponized together with the impeachment. These are facts we must tell ourselves. It's a mirror. We look at ourselves in those mirrors. Thank you.
But I didn't want to really respond to Honorable Sosione, but I'm just curious, how him having been in the 12th Parliament, and I mean, this is not the first governor to undergo this. In the 12th Parliament, we had governors undergoing the same. Why was the issue of that he's raising? Why did he not raise it in the 12th Parliament and correct it at that particular, such that now it has to suit in this particular? But I wanted to leave it at that.
Senator, don't raise a personalized question. You see, ideas are never achieved at a go. it becomes a debate, it's a process. Yeah. For me personally, I've raised my concerns about all this. Of course, the issue of, yes, I was restricted within the domain of education, but I had issues with public participation, and I stated clearly that there was no, which have been vindicated by what Kenya Kwanza has done. And we have collected different data, and we have different information. We are getting a different trajectory, which is more popular. I've been vindicated in many things in the past, including this one of public participation with respect to education. So even the same can be transposed. What was misused can be transposed even to other sectors like this impeachments and the rest. So what we are talking about, what I'm saying is that there must be minimum threshold of public participation that we can quantitatively and qualitatively appreciate.
Yes. There's a story concerning the best performing governors. They have been ranked, and the first county is Trans Nzoia, which is headed by Governor George Natembeya. There is Homa Bay with the Gladys Wanga, West Pokot, Kachapin. What do you think of these rankings, Madam Senator?
A very good question.
Yes.
Yesterday I happened to be on KTN, and we had a similar discussion. From where I sit, I sit in Senate, I sit in Finance and Budget. I'm the Vice Chair.
Yes.
And I challenged InfoTrack. And these companies that do this, give us these surveys.
Yes.
One, they need to move the issues of the counties that have no pending bills in this country. The counties that have improved in terms of this was the amount of pending bills and this is where we are. Because we have so many issues in terms of the issues of pending bill. It's a devil, it's an animal that is really affecting Kenyans. It's really further to that, affecting the economy of those different counties. Kenyans have issues because of this animal called the pending bills. And I would want to add that they now give a service based on those facts. Now, narrow it again to the CECs, especially the CECs in the dockets of the finance area, to be able to see who are the best performing CECs in this county, because now that is what gives the standard, of performance. We've had issues whereby, yes, projects that were done by the previous governor, when a new governor comes in, they don't want to undertake that because it might not really have their name in it, and then they want to start a new project. And hence the project that then was old projects becomes pending. It is stalled. It's not useful to the Mwananchi. Still, it is not paid. There are issues up and down and all that. So, and these are determined by the CECs in collaboration with the governor. So this service should now narrow down to the other facts. But as it is, of course, I want to appreciate in terms of when I see women like Gladys Wanga being at the top, I'm happy. And most of the women, because I also sit in the other oversight committee called the CP committee, we really interact mostly with the governors. And I can tell you the women governors have really been top in terms of performance, something that we are very happy about. But now, because we still have the animal, the pending bills issue, and also issues like non-remittance issues of the statutories payments, those are issues that are still there within the counties. Can we now go back and see in regards to those areas, those parameters in place, can the surveyors narrow to that and give us the facts in those regards? Now that is what will start more shaping and making Kenyans appreciate devolution much further, apart from the developments that they are doing. But there is more to that Kenyans are suffering because of the issue of pending bills.
Yes, Bwana Lulu, do these surveys give the real picture on the ground?
Well, I have a problem how the surveys are conducted in Kenya.
Yes, because
looking at that report, it says they did contact about 600 per county.
Yes.
And some of the things that have been reported, I come from Vihiga, And some of the things reported about Vihiga, for ground vitu different because they say we have improved in terms of energy, and really you go to Vihiga, my house, I get power twice a week. The rest of the days I'm in darkness. So you realize there is no improvement.
It's built at 56%.
Yes, you see, so you realize that maybe, I was just thinking, probably they meet some people in Nairobi and ask them, where do you come from? I said, from Vihiga. Yes. What do you think about your governor? He's performing well, but this person hasn't been in Vihiga for like 3 years or 2 years, yes. Or since election, they've not gone back there. Yes. So much as they are giving good reports, yes. But I think to some extent it is too exaggerated, yes. And there need to be a little bit more professionalism by when we say talking to people, let's go to the ground and get the real picture, because we are talking about research that many times we know have been used to kind of play a certain game, because if you ask me, for example, the governor of Trans Nzoia, I'm not against him, but there are so many things that if you went to Kitale today, yes. Kitale town, yes. You'd realize that there is a big problem in that town, even the way it is organized. Yes. It is so disorganized and so many other things. So yes. I do not agree with the research as it is. There are some areas like agriculture in progressing in Homa Bay and Rift Valley. I think it is okay. Yes. We've seen some really good progress in Homa Bay County, as Governor Wanga is doing really a good job, but then it shouldn't be too exaggerated. My thought, though.
What do you think of these rankings?
Yeah, these opinion polls, I think if you look at the history of accuracy in this country, yes. Particularly in elections, in predicting elections,
yes.
In almost the last 3 elections, they've hit off the mark.
Yes.
Meaning they've not been accurate, either they've used poor tools or they are politically biased. And when you look at this analysis that we are seeing for ranking, the tool that is being used is more of perceptions and telephone calls. There are no real quantitative, measurable variables. Yes. Like, of course, how have you cleared how has the pending bills been cleared? What is the development plan? How many public participations have you conducted? And auditing real-time projects. That has not been done. So if we allow these independent bodies to keep giving false information to the public, I don't think is the right thing to do. This also goes back to the Senate. Yes. Yeah, because Senate oversights counties, for example. If we
Correct.
Yeah. Is it possible to develop and generate a quality instrument of ranking counties so that then, well, those ones can do it. But you see, within the system of Council of Governors and within the system of oversight of counties by county government, you are able to have deliberate data on level of clearing of pending bills, level of pending salaries, level of commitment to projects and all that. That tool can be developed so that it's a scientific one that can be used to rank and quality assure the operations of counties, just like it happens with schools. The Quality Assurance and Standards Department is able to give real-time quality data about gaps in each school, gaps at the counties, gaps at the sub-counties, and gaps nationally. So that then we are dealing with now. Is it not time, rather than relying on generous independent bodies who are doing their own things and having a field day because nobody else is doing that? Yes. Is it possible that now, to strengthen devolution, we develop a quality assurance framework that we are able to rank and rate the performance of the counties comparatively, empirically, and in a scientific data? That also goes to the, it's an advisory.
I wanted to help in that advisory. Yes. And I appreciate advices so much. But as Mheshimiwa knows very well, our roles are very clear. Legislation, representation, and oversight. Where we are all politicians in Senate. And if we get off from our legal mandate. Now we bring more wars in the House, because now it will be like the senators are now fighting with the governors. We've seen where governors, the previous senators, or senators move from Senate to go and vie for governorship, or governors are coming now back to the Senate. They are interchanging, and actually there will be bigger war. Because then probably if someone has ambitions, they would now try and lower the cadre for their governor and bring issues. They become political, like the governor is not. So it will not be in our best interest. Our best interest would be to oversight correctly and be able to bring in the gaps. As you've seen, our committee for CPIC, which is looks at the special funds, as we have the park and all that. We've really come out, and especially on the water companies, Senate, we've really come out and brought out issues that we've realized have been happening, and we invite both the governor and the senator of that particular county, so that we are able to oversight together as a Senate. But if we'll start narrowing and trying to measure in terms of quality, then we will definitely have some issues. Definitely some would want to favor their own counties for their own personal interests, and we might not be the best judges, because we can't be the ones oversighting and also the ones also trying to mark our own exams.
Your final comment as we wind up.
Yes, I want to really wish all the students as they're finishing their exams, especially the young ones, CAPSEA, all the best so much. It is not the end. Whatever you score, it's just part of the journey. There are other students, I think they're Form 4s. In the upcoming exams, I really wish them the best. I would really want to appreciate that we have the king. Let us enjoy this space as a country with less politic. We continue focusing, we continue working. We want a very good mood when we are going to our Christmas holidays, and not to have too much happenings. And I mean, all the best.
Yes.
In the same spirit, I want to pass my congratulations to our students and wish them success in their exams. I also want to really appreciate our government, the way it is handling the foreign diplomacy. Having the king here is a big signature for Kenya's progress. Let the political class tone down, and we do cohesion, we embrace each other, make Kenya great, because we can only make Kenya great when we appreciate each other instead of attacking one another. It is well.
Your closing
with the coming of the King of England, I think it's very historic. Kenya demonstrates that Kenya is a global sensation. It's a communication hub in the world. It's an economic hub in the world. And also is a promising democracy. We've practiced a lot of high-level democracy, and internally we also practice lots of democracy. But I think getting down into the various issues that we've discussed, be it education, be it politics of the Senate, of impeachment and the rest, I think the Constitution of Kenya 2010 underscores good governance. We must all promote good governance in this country, in all fields. And in doing so, we will be able to build a very strong country that will become a global destination. To me, the growth of the number of visitors and tourists will be a great tool of measurement of good work in this country. With good roads, good destination, good hotels, good scenic sites, good heritage sites. So I think we have an opportunity to make Kenya the most competitive destination in the world.
Thank you for coming to our show. We'll be happy to host you again. This has been a Viewpoint on Good Morning Kenya. This is where we put a close to this segment. My name is Mike Migwe. Good Morning Kenya takes a short break.
tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
nĩ harĩa tũkoragwo tũkĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hot,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Solo FM.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Before the end of the night, boy, when you are par with weed, a good time is guaranteed.
Bunks. Skip your enemy there. Sing your one from left to right, and know the saga man there. I could no man have with the one of them are humiliate. Remember, could no man from here can bring the rap into the state. Big, big, cat big, house big.
Music can be magical. It's the soul for life and gives immense peace to us. It has a powerful therapeutic effect on the human psyche. Whether secular or gospel, there's a song for everyone, every occasion, and every emotion.
God bless you.
KBC brings you children's programs at its very best. From preschoolers to the teens, featuring the very best of untapped talents, showcasing arts and crafts, music and poetry. We bring you the latest animations and teach the children how to do it.
Can you read the word with Happy Hippo?
Join us every Saturday from 7 a.m. and weekdays in the late afternoons as we bring you entertaining children programming on KBC Channel 1.
How about to get into transformative leaders right here on Good Morning Kenya? And today on Transformative Leaders, we will be talking about job opportunities abroad as well as studying abroad. And joining me for this discussion is the Director General One Team Career Coaches, Innocent Kipkemboi.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the program.
Asante.
You're back. You were here some time ago, but we had very little time with you.
Thank you very much for having me back today in studio. I really, really appreciate for this opportunity. And as you've said, my name is Innocent Kipkemboi Palugate, and I'm the CEO of One Team Career Coaches. Let me just continue from there and tell our people that One Team Career Coaches is an agency based in Eldoret, that is in Safina Plaza, first floor, room F2. And One Team actually is a team of many people in different countries of the world. that we came together in order to assist people get opportunities either to study or to work in various countries of the world. So it's a team. Out of the name one team, it's a team. It's not like it's one individual, one person. It's a team with people in Canada, Australia, the UK, the US, everywhere in the world, Switzerland, New Zealand. We are there. Thank you.
All right, and maybe for someone who is wondering, you can explain to us who a career coach is and what their role is.
Actually, career coaching is not a one-day event. It's something that starts from when a child is born. The moment a child is born, that is where you start coaching that child towards a certain path or direction. So we notice that majority of our youths, either in primary, secondary, university, or any tertiary colleges, they are not well equipped with knowledge. And they always say that knowledge is power. When you don't have knowledge or when you don't know, you can never get it. So what we decided is to be able to coach these people, especially those who intend to go to abroad when they reach the maturity age or when they reach the time that they want to go to abroad. Why did we do this? Why do we do this? One, it's because many people don't know what are the job opportunities that are available there. What are the career paths that they should take in order to settle down there? Because the education system in Kenya is not similar to the education system outside the country. In the UK, for example, in America, in Canada, it's different. You have to understand that what are the paths or what are the career paths that you need to approach or to take if you intend to travel abroad. So it starts from way back in primary schools, in secondary schools, and in universities. So that is where we put our energy more, to teach these people that if you want to go to abroad one day, to go either work or study, there are courses that are specifically tailored that will ensure that when you're there, you get to work as fast as possible and you get the best of earnings. For example, courses related to medicine or medical courses or nursing, those are very lucrative courses. Either if you do it here or if you do it there, they are very lucrative. The courses to do with IT is very, very serious in abroad because the world is transforming towards a world of online or digital world. The digital transformation is very fast and it keeps on increasing programming and languages related to Java. For those people who have done IT, they will understand. And when you are an IT guy, either in Kenya and you want to go abroad, I'm assuring you that if you are doing IT now, or you want to go and do IT outside the country, there is a chance that you will get the best job offers than any other course. For example, even engineering, because engineering, many of the things that are related now to engineering and such courses are much more automated. Many things are much more automated in such a way that whenever they have installed, for example, the electric system here, it's fully automated to a point whereby if there is a fault, it just reports directly to the directors or to the bosses. So there is no more people who will be needed to monitor these things. But IT, it needs the mind. For example, nursing, it needs the person talking to the person. You cannot use a robot to treat someone. It has to be people. So we coach people from way back in primary schools and coach them even now. When you come to our offices, we will be able to coach you. You will tell us, I've done this and this. We will tell you, okay, let's go to this particular country. And when you reach there, do this particular course. It will assist you. There are some courses that we need to give people to go, just to go. You know, someone just wants to go outside and maybe look for other opportunities. So we give them maybe a small course or a lighter course that will not be a burden to you when you're outside the country. But when you reach there, you can be able to change courses. You can be able to look for a course that will give you a quick PR. For example, in Australia, it's called a PR, permanent residency. The country of Australia is basically giving people a PR based on their skills. It is not based in the number of years or the days you have lived in a country. For example, in the UK.
So? Is that so in Australia?
Yeah, for example,
dependent on the number of years you've stayed
in the UK, if you stay for 5 years in the UK, you'll be given a permanent residency. If you finish 7-year period, you will be given what we call a citizenship. There's a difference between a permanent resident and a citizen. So in the UK, it's like Kenya, it's based in the number of years you naturalize into a country. But in Australia, it's different because at many times it's skill-based. If they are interested with you, for example, teachers, for example, nurses, actually teaching is one of the best courses outside the country. If you go to Australia and you're a teacher, there are no more teachers. I don't know what happened, but there are no more teachers. It's like when you are a child of a teacher in this country, way back in the 90s, my mother was a teacher, so I was really well respected. I remember I wore my first shoe when I was in primary. It used to shock many people that, how comes you have a shoe? Because I was my mother was a teacher. So back outside the country, teachers are still, the demand for teachers is very high. And if you're a teacher either in secondary or primary, you better find your way outside. I have friends of mine in this country who have resigned, who are in the TSC. They have resigned. They have gone to Australia to look for their path into teaching there. Because immediately you go there, you will be given a permanent residence as far as you find your way there. On the issue of job opportunities, one, the first world, we are in the, third world or second, probably third world. In the first world, they have managed to create, to automate many things. For example, from the industries to the service provision, either in the hospitals or in the care homes or wherever you go. So these guys, they have one funny thing. The demand for people who want to go outside is higher than the opportunities or the job opportunities found abroad. For example, we cannot have 100,000 jobs in abroad at once. So what do? We had to find a way of taking our people fast to reach there. And that is why we had to use the means of education. The means of education is a mass means. It means we can take even 1 million people outside, either to Canada, either to Australia. Why do these people want you to come through education? They are selling education. It's like the way we sell coffee, the way we sell tea, the way we sell our products, whatever we produce as a country. So for them, they have developed high-end, high-tech universities that assist them, that they are selling now. They are selling knowledge, they are selling education. So they'll tell you, we have opportunities, yes, we have jobs and all that. But now you must buy what we are selling. And when you ask them, what are you selling? They'll tell you, we are selling education. You tell them, so if I come through education, I'll be able to work and you'll be able to give me a job. And that is the exact thing what we are doing. Because whenever we get job opportunities, they are very little. They just come and they have already gone. But now education, it's able to take all of us. And they are guaranteeing us that whenever we go there through education, for example, in Australia, you will go to school for 2 days in a week. And then you are given around 48 hours per fortnight. Fortnight is like around 2 weeks. So you have the 48 hours to work, including the weekends, which they pay like double. And then you have only 2 days to go to school. There is no such deal that you can ever get in this country. In fact, now many people the children are finishing Form 4, they're asking, can we get diploma courses in Canada, Australia to take our kids? And you are telling them that yes, we have good diploma courses from the lowest in business courses to nursing and the IT and other courses. And they are much more affordable. If you are to take your child to university in Kenya, you will notice that the cost, you'll have first of all to give that child an upkeep. You'll have to buy them clothes. You'll have to pay rent. You'll have to pay school fees. You'll have to pay so many things. But if a child goes to study in abroad, they'll be giving you money instead of you funding their lifestyle in a university in Kenya.
Who will be giving you money?
In fact, the student now will work.
Giving their parents money.
Yes, the student will work and they'll be giving the parents
paid to study. I was, where?
So you only pay fees and then you work and then you study and work. So immediately the parent is relieved of all the burden. The child will no longer be asking you for rent or anything. In fact,
I want to take you back to,
the opposite.
If you'll allow me, I want to take you back to where you said you have friends who resigned as teachers to go, work in these other countries, like Australia and so on. Does it mean that our papers from Kenya can guarantee you work over there, or do you have to first get into a school there before, you begin to work?
Thank you so much for that question. Actually, our Kenyan papers is very different. Our education system and the education system of the world is quite different. Every country has a different form of education system. And one thing that I want to tell our people is that when you are abroad or when you are in abroad, what sells there is not your papers, it's your skills. If you say I know how to teach, or if you say I am a teacher, you'll know that nobody will ask you for your papers. They'll ask that one later. They'll ask you, are you sure you can teach? Yes, you'll say yes. They'll give you a demo, they'll take you to a classroom, and then they'll put cameras there, and then they'll see what you are doing. And if they are convinced, they'll hire you immediately. Sometimes they may even hire you without asking for your papers. I remember I've worked abroad myself, and I worked for so many companies, and at many times they were skill-based. They could ask me for skills. I could say I can do this, and then they give me a demo. Let's say if you say you can install CCTV cameras, for example, then they'll put their transmitter, they'll put there the cameras, they'll put there the wires, and then they'll tell you, oh, you said you can do it? Sure as. If you are able to do it, they'll hire you. So majority of even our children in university, they focus more on paper studies, learning through reading notes and all that. I was telling people, when I was in somewhere else, I told them that if you are in a university or a technical college or anywhere, as much as you go and study in the class, the theory part, focus more on the practical part. The practical is the most important part of it. If you are doing an engineering course, look for someone, a mentor, who is an engineer. Be working with them around when they are doing their work. Learn, be a spanner boy, give them the wires, give them wherever. Because that is what will sell more when you are outside than the theory. They won't mind about the theory or how you know things and how you can explain things. They want to know how you can do things with your own hands. Yes.
When we all find our way outside the country, what do we leave of this country? I mean, the brain drain will be real. If we're asking doctors to resign and go abroad, we're asking teachers to resign and go abroad. What are we doing to our country then?
Actually, we are doing no harm, according to me.
Are you sure?
Because the population in Kenya is very high. We have we have so many skilled laborers. We have so many graduates every year, every month. From this month going forward now, especially towards the end of the year, we will be having graduations in every university. That means we have highly skilled and educated people who don't have jobs. So by the time in Africa you say we have been brain drained, maybe it may take another 100 years because we are so hardworking. We go to school. We want to pursue courses. We want to do masters. We want to do degrees and PhDs. That's why even our current president is a PhD holder, is a doctor. It's amazing because there is no any other president in the whole world who is a doctor. Probably this is the only one.
Is that
it tells
so?
you. It tells you.
I don't have my facts on that, so I won't agree or
it tells you.
disagree.
It tells you that we are people who love learning. We like going to school. We like pursuing knowledge. So our population, in terms of knowledge and skills versus being brain drained, it cannot happen anytime soon. So let's allow our people to go make money, and then there are others who will remain. Of course, we have others who are joining now the technical colleges, KMTC, and all other places that offer knowledge-based training. So back to our discussion, for example, in our organization. Let's say you come in and you tell me, like, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to Australia. I'll remind our people that education is the easiest path, the safest and the easiest path that we are using it to take masses, to take as many people as possible. So if you come in, we will be able, first of all, to listen to you and to hear your side of the story, because there is the cost and there is the life outside. You know, many people experience culture shock when they go abroad. I remember there was a time I landed in Amsterdam, and literally I was shaking so much that the airport guys noticed, because I was biting my mouth thoroughly. I didn't know. So we counsel you in terms of, first, the careers available, or what it takes to get those careers, or the cost, the timelines, and then above all, how life is in abroad. Because if you go without knowledge, you might end up failing. In Canada, it's different. In Australia, it's different. In the America, it's different. In Middle East, it's different. You have to learn the nature and the culture of how to survive in these different countries. So each time that you go in there, each time when you come to our place, our offices, we will be able to guide you so that at the end of the day, you have known what is the cost of living there, what is the cost of housing, what is the cost of life, and how you will start and get jobs immediately. Because we don't give people, we don't give you houses and just say you just go. First of all, we go ahead. We have to identify what are the industries within your surrounding, what are the job opportunities, in such a way that if I'm telling you that I'll take you to Melbourne, already I know of specific countries, even job agencies that will be able to give you an opportunity. So by the time I'm seeing you off at the airport, I'll be able to tell you when you arrive there, look for this and this and this, find this someone, there is this company, there is this industry, so that you don't go and stay for long without working. Immediately you get the papers of that country, the KRA of their country, and the good conduct of that country, you can start the job immediately. So that is how we guide our people from the time they come into the office to the time they fly outside the country. And it never ends. We keep on keeping on and following you up until we make sure that you settle and you successfully blend to the society and the community there.
All right. On that note, we do take a short break, but don't go far. We'll be back with this discussion.
Danielle got Carolina pregnant.
Is that right?
It's really unfair because this is happening right now. Just when we're finally free and the two of us can be together. It's as if life has some kind of grudge against us, as though we're...
So what do you think? Do you think he took the bait?
He didn't bite. He swallowed the whole thing.
Before the end of the night. Boy, when you are par with weed, a good time is guaranteed.
Bums. Skip your enemy there. Sling your one from left to right, and know the saga man there. I could no man have with you, one of them are humiliate. Remember, could no man from here can bring the rap into the state. Big.
Hii investigation sa ile weli malisa weli pata mimi ni nani ya marehemu. Wewe ni ndugu yake. Na weli pata hii msichana Lucy ni nani yake? Ni mtoto yake, hata kama sio biological, yeye ameadapt na akachukua hiyo majukumu ya mzazi kwake. Yes, I think that is correct because automatically weli find out ya kwamba yeye si part of the family.
Kwa hivyo wewe unajua huyu si mtoto wa ndugu yako?
As far as I am concerned, huyu si mtoto ya...
Una uhakika gani? Na mbona walikuwa wenye mali waliwacha urithi yeye ndiye achukue? Mbona hawakukuandikia wewe kama wewe ndio ulikuwa unahusika?
This was a mistake. And after this case, I'm going to challenge that will in a court.
Objection in your honor. I'm so sorry.
Sasa huyu naye ni nani?
I'm very late.
Wewe ni nani?
I'm a lawyer.
Lawyer wa nani?
Professional mheshimiwa.
Lawyer wa nani?
Wa makofia mheshimiwa. So, can we go to Camp 63?
Whom are you representing? Wewe.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya, and we continue with the discussion that we were already having, and that is on job opportunities and studying abroad. Now, Innocent, I would love to know how far you go into assisting after they land into these countries that you have taken them, into this foreign land. For example, say accommodation for someone who does not know anyone in that particular country. How far do you go with assisting in that?
Thank you so much for that question. I always tell people, like, going abroad, either by whole studying or jobs, is not a one-day event. It's a process. And I always tell people, don't